Original King, Demon King, Burger King, Nagi goodbye. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I'm to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. Hey, another fun fact. He may be gone. Well, nah. Now, I've been seeing a lot of hot debate. Wait a second. You know what time it is. It's peak lot. Sorry, your boy's a little bit distracted because I've been reading a whole bunch of discussion, a whole bunch of debate. Everybody and their mama is talking about Big Nagi. Not so much Reo, which is kind of hilarious. Like, personally, I'm not the biggest Nagi Reo guy out there. Not in the sense that I don't think it's like a fun dynamic or, well, actually, I may not be too honest about Nagi Reo in this review. I will go on for like 20 minutes. That's a whole separate video, or possibly a whole separate channel. But with that being the case, a lot of discussion has been going around about Nagi and, let's just say, his narrative relevance, and thusly what that means for his future. Is this really Nagi's, we're just done with the character, we're never going to see him again? Or, the other side of this, is this essentially likely just a more exaggerated version of what happened to Kunigami? Now, obviously, considering Kunigami wasn't all too relevant in PX, well, actually, no, he was crazy relevant. He was locking down shit the entire time. Just offensively, outside of his assist with Isagi, he wasn't actually the craziest bit of relevant in PXG. But in case you forgot, Kunigami underwent the wildcard program. However, there is a big difference between the wildcard program, or essentially Kunigami getting locked off at the middle point, I'd say, of second selection and leading into the wildcard program, leading him coming back for the new Aegis League, and Nagi's lock off here. At least from what the series has implied so far, there is no wildcard option now. Considering we're going straight, at least, once again, I've seen hot debate on whether or not we're going into a club arc or the U20 World Cup arc. We're going into the U20 World Cup, I promise you. I'm not betting nothing because I'm scared. But regardless, I know we're going into the U20 World Cup. I've seen people still arguing that we're going into a club arc, but I think that's at best post U20 World Cup arc. But with that being the case, the difference is, since we're going into that right now, immediately, Blue Lock is kind of temporarily shutting down for all intents and purposes because we're going into the U20 World Cup arc. We have our 23 players. We're going to at best be training them, and Eagle's likely going to be focusing all his attention on them. The wildcard program only really existed because Eagle had some free time and leeway while he was still running the rest of the selections, preparing for the U20 game, and like proving Blue Lock's relevance in general. Now that Blue Lock has an actual stake in the world, and obviously, you know, we're doing nothing but possibly going from U20 World Cup arc to club arc to actual U20 arc, or no, actual World Cup arc. I think we're in a weird position where there is no hope for like a wild card Nagi. I've seen a lot of copium surrounding that, and I just personally don't think that's happening. But obviously, there's another time or another solution. Nagi could just keep playing somewhere else. Now, of course, the only issue with this is that where is he going to train? At least for the duration of the U20 World Cup arc. Because, like, I mean, the thing, I guess he could go to that club. There is a club who offered Nagi money. It wasn't much, but still, there is that club. So he could go there and just be training there. But my main concern is that, unlike with the wildcard program, where Kunigami was explicitly being trained to reach a certain level, a certain state, a certain status, if he just goes to that club, it would essentially all be Nagi internal motivation, which we know he struggles with by himself for the entire U20 World Cup arc. But I, like many others, ultimately believe, even with that complication and with there being a lack of wildcard program and with all this, Nagi is too important to actually sacrifice. Do I respect Kaneshiro Sensei for having the gall, the nerve, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it, or I guess what would be a noun? Is gall? Would gall be an adjective? I think gall would actually be a noun too, because it's a person, place, or thing. It's a thing. Never thought about that. But in the nerve, same thing. But with that being the case, having that much gall to actually do it in the first place is crazy. But at the same time, I keep going back to the idea Nagi has his own manga. And while Blue Lock episode Nagi could end right here, if this is truly Nagi's endpoint, I don't think so. One, because Reo is still a major part of Blue Lock episode Nagi, and Blue Lock episode Nagi just shows a different perspective. And also, this is the perfect setup for that manga, right? Like, there's no better way to let Nagi go on and do his own thing than letting Nagi go on to do his own thing for a while. Because, like, one of my biggest things that I was wondering about, is how on earth is Blue Lock Episode 9 going to tackle the U20 game? How long is that going to take? Because ultimately, the big reason Episode 9 was able to succeed so much is because Nagi and Isagi were in different positions for extended periods of time in the original selections. But once you get to the U20 game, that's not going to be the case. And then even after that, we've seen a pretty decent chunk of Nagi versus the other teams. So I was wondering how they were going to cover that, and specifically going forward, once we got to the U20 game, if Nagi were to have made it and been on the same team, how we're going to establish that. But now with Nagi being free to go do his own thing, and the possibility of him returning at all, it's entirely possible. It's not impossible for Nagi to come back, and honestly, I think he will. Do I think Kaneshiro Sensei is absolutely absurd and insane? Kinda. Do I see them locking off Nagi? No. Because Nagi's too popular a character to actually permanently lock off, and we've already done this before. Like, but then again, I've seen arguments like, we've done it before, we wouldn't do it again. But that's why I think it's gonna be different. We did it before with Kunigami, who, at least in my opinion, I'm not a Blue Lock expert or anything, I'd say that Nagi is an infinitely more popular character than Kunigami. And we didn't have the nerve to get rid of him. So I don't think we're getting rid of Nagi in the macro sense, but in the micro sense, aka the U20 World Cup arc, where I'll make a whole video talking about it more in depth. I do think ultimately Blue Lock will actually lose the U20 World Cup. I mean, maybe that's crazy. I mean, the thing is, they can win. They can win. It's debatable. I'll have to talk about that in its own video more extensively. But regardless, I think Nagi's safe in the macro, but I do think he's cooked in the micro. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, someone in the top 23 is going to be injured and they're going to fall out and then Nagi's going to come back. I don't think so. I think we are at least cutting him off for the U20 World Cup arc. Do I think he's gone permanently? No. I don't. As much as I love the many Burger King memes that we've had with Nagi, the many different like actual drawn or stylized memes of Nagi working at fast food, I don't buy that for the long run. But enough yapping about hypotheticals, or enough yapping about possible futures. Let's actually hop right into chapter 300 of Blue Lock Innocent. Hey, Reo. Yeah, we going through. And you know what? Like, I can't knock Nagi Reo shippers, right? Like, notably, it is a case where if you brought it up to me, I'd be like, I don't really think it's that healthy. I don't really think it's healthy. I think it's kind of unhealthy. But I know Nagi Reo shippers, and they love it. And I'm not going to knock it. And obviously, it isn't like they're reading into nothing. Like, I've seen many allegations for certain ships in Blue Lock where, like, people are like, you're reading into straight nothing, gang. Like, you are pulling stuff out of thin air. And I do agree with some of those. I can't name one off the top of my head because they're so, like, random and crack-based. But for Nagi Reo, like, it's not even a hypothetical, bro. Like, it's called BL for a reason. So I'm assuming this whole chapter is essentially just going to be, like, the goodbye to Nagi, I'm guessing. But let's see. Because last chapter was Copium, and Inigo absolutely crushing all Copium. So let's see what this chapter is. Hey, Reo. Yo, Reo, he's not a full-grown man, but Reo, you're crying on live TV, bro. What your daddy gonna think? He don't care about what his daddy thinks. Let's see. I don't regret any of it. Aww. He's like, don't worry, Reo. Don't feel sad. I'm fodder. I got kicked off. I got locked off, but at least I had a good time. And you know what? At least in my opinion, and I can't go too far into tangents. So I am shocked. Like, when I finished recording last review and I went to edit, I was like, "What? How did I talk for over an hour?" But I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. I do agree with that kind of philosophy. Well, it's not. I'm not sure if it's a philosophy. Maybe he's gonna go on and like contradict what I'm about to say. But at least I do believe that when something does end, even a major section of your life, right? Like, notably, I think of all the different major points in school that I've ended, from elementary school to middle school to high school to college to my master's. I think of switching from one job to another, like things like that. As long as you can look back and enjoy it and accept that it is over, I think you're in a better spot than clinging to the past. I'm not saying completely disregard the past. I think the past is important. I think the past defines us. I think ultimately you are nothing without your past and your memories of said past. That's why when you lose your memories, you basically become an entirely different person outside of instinctual mannerisms and things that are innate to your biology. You are defined by your experiences. I always feel bad for seeing people who do end up regretting certain parts of their life. And I'm not saying you can't have regrets. I don't think that's like possible to not have any regrets at all, but to not let them shackle you, and also to not feel negatively about them. Ultimately, despite Nagi essentially wasting a whole bunch of time here and now being forced to go work at Burger King, he's letting Reo know, because obviously he probably worries for Reo deeply, deeply, that he did have a good time, or at least he didn't regret any of it. Let's see. I don't regret any of it. It's honestly like Ego says. I think I was satisfied. And it's the end. I mentioned this last time, but I do want to bring it up again. It's okay to be satisfied. It is. It truly is. I think, and obviously this is crazy coming from a guy who does believe in individuality a whole lot, and does believe in luck, and does believe in the ever pertinent self-improvement. Like, I'll admit, sometimes people have repeated back what I've said, or I've listened to my own videos when editing. I'm like, I sound like the most corny, inspirational, like, do you, no matter what. But, like, that is kind of my philosophy. But at the same time, I'm not against being satisfied and happy and moving on, right? Like, that's my counterbalance to the do what you want to do no matter what, even if it's difficult, fight for your dreams. But, like, if a dream dies, like, you can keep it pushing. Never. It's not so bad. But, like, you don't have to cling to impossibilities. You don't have to cling to false dreams. You gotta live life and enjoy it. And even if you do believe there is a life after life, or if you don't, or whatever, you gotta not necessarily roll with the punches. Well, I guess no, you kind of do. You gotta roll with the punches. If life doesn't go the way you planned it to, don't let that stop you. You're still alive. Keep living. Keep moving forward. And cherish what you had, and then realize you have things you need to keep doing. Because ultimately, unfortunately, unless very, very, very specific circumstances are met that are very uncommon for the average person to meet, just because something didn't go the way you wanted it to, just because a dream is over, just because a time in your life has ceased, doesn't mean you can stop functioning. And, like, nowhere on the, like, unless you, like, live on your own. But even then, you cannot just cease all action and expect to persist in any means or fashion. You must always keep moving forward, whether you want to or not. Let's see. It's like Ego says. Oh, but all that to say, it's okay to be satisfied. Sorry, I lost the point a little bit there. It's okay to be satisfied, and it's okay to want to move on, or have the ability to move on. And it's okay to acknowledge that you made mistakes. I don't believe in the idea that you can be consistently delusional about certain things in life. I believe that a little delusion helps everybody. I think delusion is what gets us through most of our days, but do not be consumed by delusion, and don't be consumed by malice about your delusion. If you get it, you get. Let's see. I think I was satisfied. Beating Isagi, playing soccer with you forever, really would have been enough. And that's okay, right? Like, and it's weird for me, right? Because if you were to ask me, especially like in the content creation field, I think in the general field, it's kind of obvious, like, hey, Pencil, what kind of life do you want to live in general? Want to get married, have kids, live good life. Pretty generic. But, like, specifically in the field of, like, content creation, right? I feel like if you ask different people different things, what do they all want, you will get different answers. Like, if you ask me, hey, Pencil, why do you content create? I like the app. That's like the second most fundamental thing. But there is a more deep subconscious. I kind of do like the idea of being well known, having my voice reach a bunch of people, being able to help and connect to so many different people in the way that I have. That's beautiful. Yet at the same time, I feel like any of my fellow content creators in the comments will know, while connecting to 1 person, 2 person, 3 person, 4 person, 5 person, 6 person, 7 person, 8 person, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 1,000. It's weird, but I can say it's almost never enough. Like, I've never, ironically enough, unlike Nagi, I never really reached a point of satisfaction with the level I've reached. And I know content creators who are much bigger than me, who aren't satisfied with the level they've reached, and content creators who are much bigger than them, who have never reached the level they reached. That's the thing. It's a never-ending cycle. It's not really an Ouroboros. It's just like a really long snake. It's like Snake Way, gosh darn it. And ultimately, it is that hunger, is a desire that keeps me producing on some level. It isn't just the fact that I like the app, but it's also the fact that I do want to do more. And I know in order to do more and get more, I need to make more. And that's how a lot of other content creators think. But, of course, there are different varieties and stuff like that. But in the case of someone like Nagi, that technically was his eternity. Playing soccer with him forever, beating Isagi. It's just that, it's the fact that since he beat Isagi, the idea of doing anything else just fell to the wayside. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Like, for reference, once again, going back to the content creator thing, my goal was to hit 1,000 subscribers. I didn't think that would ever happen. Being completely honest, especially back in the old days, in the olden days when I really didn't know what I was doing and I was kind of just wilding out, I really didn't think that would happen. But imagine if I had just been satisfied with that. Imagine if I just stopped then. I was like, okay, I hit 1,000. Swaggy, like Shaggy, gang, I'm good. I wouldn't be here now. And many of y'all wouldn't, well, y'all probably would have found the content somehow, but the content, like, at least, I forget how many videos I was at when I hit 1,000. Hours upon hours upon hours of content. And now, I'm so happy to know, but like, hours upon hours of people's life listening to me or literally directly watching me simply wouldn't exist if I was satisfied. And that's why, despite me saying being satisfied is okay, I do kind of agree with Ego in a sense where you do need to have that fire, that fuel, that endless hunger to keep moving forward and keep developing. Whether you want it or not in the macro sense, but even the micro sense of something like this, what I do, you do kind of need it. Let's see. Really would have been enough. But honestly, that dream was no good. My dream was too small for me to keep living in Blue Lock. It was childish. Back then, his head is really big in this panel. Back then, if I hadn't relied on you when I couldn't beat Isagi and was frustrated. Oh. Okay. Hold on. Hold on, gang. Hold on. Well, in fact, we moving the chair to the side. Hold on, gang. Kaneshiro Sensei, don't play with me. Don't play with me. Don't you play with me, Kaneshiro Sensei. You ain't schlick. Kaneshiro, I ought to reach, I don't know where you I ought to teleport to you with instant transmission or the Kai or something, bro. What? I mean, he's right. But this feels so meta. Like, and in a good way. I mean, obviously, this makes sense for Nagi to be saying in this moment, but it clicks to me. Sorry, I cut myself off. If I hadn't relied on you when I couldn't beat Isagi and was frustrated, I wonder if I would have had a different future. I was saying that all the way back when it happened. And this is, like, low-key, in a way, this is gratifying. I was saying this upward to, like, 3 years ago now. Like, it's weird to think about. But, like, every time I go to add a new blog or review to the playlist, I'm like, 100 plus videos! I think I'm missing some chapters. I don't think I have every single chapter that's released since I started reviewing. Because I think I had times where I just wasn't home and I wasn't able to record. So, like, I'm like, 100 plus videos! How long have I been doing this? And I look at, like, the original post-video date. I was posting back in, like, 2023. Like, it's been darn near 3 years of this. Which I do love. Like, it's crazy. And I love having that catalog. But so it's insane to think about. But, and you know what? Unironically, the funniest thing about this, it is this dynamic that gave birth to that guy with the pencil reviews of Blue Lock. It was me having just read Blue Lock being like, whoa, this is a really bad idea. Let me cover this and see how bad it goes. It went all the way down. It went all the way down. Really fell straight down the rabbit hole in a sense. Where it truly was that mistake. It was the mistake. And ultimately, it's so funny, right? It's funny because Reo once wanted something like this. But Nagi had the mental fortitude to say no. It was back in second selection when the Team White beat Team Red, or whatever it was. When Isagi, Reo and Nagi beat Chigiri, Kunigami, and Reo. And it was Reo begging Nagi to take him back. And unlike Reo did in the Neo Aegis League, Nagi didn't fold. And in fact, simply gave Reo more motivation. And it's the fact that Reo folded. I'm not saying it's 100% Reo's fault that Nagi's ego died. And that Nagi is currently being kicked out. But it's also not 100% not his fault, you know? Like, ultimately, if I am confident if Reo had said no and made Nagi lock in on his own, then this whole story would be fundamentally different. I do agree with Nagi here. I wonder, no, I know for a fact. And I think Kaneshiro Sensei knows for a fact. I think everybody reading this story knows that. Like, it's so simple and clean that it genuinely makes me wonder, like, in the long run, like, presumably hundreds of like, multiple years down the line, I wonder how this parallel will play back. Because we had Nagi and Reo relying on each other too heavily, and then they lost. Then we had Nagi defeating Reo, and then not choosing Reo for the sake of both of their development. Then we had Nagi regressing and choosing to go back to Reo once things got too hard, and Reo folding. Once again, and then recently, as recently as 2 chapters ago, running right back to Nagi's embrace to help him anyway, even after Nagi said, "Don't worry, I got this on my own." Leading to Nagi passing, and then thus their loss of the match. So, that does make me wonder in the grand scheme of things, in the far future, assuming Nagi does come back, assuming all us Nagi, our sexual suckers out here, like our Nagi Namers, I guess, if our copium is right and Nagi will return eventually, I'm wondering what the next step in this dynamic will be. Because obviously this is like the long breakup. This is the breakup that's going to last eternity, gosh darn it. But I'm interested to see what the next step will be. Because I'm assuming kind of shows that these cooking. If this truly is the end, though, this is a crazy way to end up this dynamic. But it does, like many others have said about the last 2 chapters, I do think it feeds very well into the themes and narrative that Blue Lock is trying to tell. And also just its overall messaging. There's no doubt in my mind that this is the kind of message that Kanoshiro Sensei wants to send. Ultimately, in a way, he's saying never be satisfied. Keep moving forward, no matter what, and do not go back to things that did not work, or else they will cost you. And I am lagging viciously. So, hello. Are we back? Yeah, we're not lagging. Okay, so it seems at about 20 minutes, it just starts to lag. I don't know why. And then once you get it, I just unplug the camera and it replugs back in, and then I stop lagging. Strange. But, let's see. I wonder if that would have had a different future. So, yo, broadcasting this on live TV is crazy. Broadcasting the perma breakup on live TV for the whole world is absolutely absurd. But I suppose pretty poignant. He's really flashing this to both teams right now. Well, probably everyone. Let's see. Sorry, Reo. In the end, wanting to be the world's best wasn't as strong as a feeling of my fear of being separated from you. Aww. 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 And you know what's fun? Maybe I'll probably sing a different tune once I'm like married. I would say dating, but presumably then I think I'd fully click to this. But I don't know. At least for me, and this is and it's funny because notably I wouldn't say I was fully raised like this. I was raised in a way where like you rely on others and you have faith, but you need to have your own individual ability. Like I was told a lot growing up. I won't always be there to help you. I will not be there to help take your tests. I will not be there in any interviews. I will not be there in the moments where you probably want me to take care of everything for you then. So I'm not going to be here to take care of everything for you now. But if you absolutely need me, I will be there. In like moments of doubt and stuff like that. That's what my parents always told me. And thusly, I, in my own way, interpreted that as figure it out by yourself and try not to rely on others. And thusly, I have a problem to this day where I kind of don't ask for help. I just don't. It's a me thing. I will do it if absolutely necessary, just like I was kind of taught to. But to this day, I'm not necessarily isolationist. I love people. I love talking to people. I love interacting with people. But I don't have, I can't relate to this or sympathize, or not sympathize. I can sympathize with it, but I can't empathize with this. Sorry, Reo. Wasn't as strong as the feeling of my fear of being separated from you. Outside of like my close family, which is different than this entire dynamic, there's nothing I could say. There's no one, at least currently in my life, that I'd say my fear of being separated from them would end up with me getting in my own way, as Nagi did. But of course, that's just because I don't have. But then again, and it's funny because I do have a relationship, quote unquote, a best friend who I've known for long that I haven't known. But at the same time, there are moments where he's gone one direction, I've gone mine. Like we went to 2 different colleges. We went in 2 different paths in high school all the way back then. And like we did completely different things. We were able to walk separate but equal paths in a sense. Or like parallel paths that were not interlinking. But we're still friends. Good friends at that. As far as I know. So like, I can understand it, but I can't really connect to it. Does anyone, and this is a question for y'all, do you have anyone in your life like this, where ultimately your fear of losing them would get in the way of you yourself? Or even better, do you have an example? Because I personally can't think of one. I have a deeper, my life ain't that complicated. I ain't got that much lore. But in my repertoire of lore, I don't have something like this. I can't fully understand something like this simply because I haven't undergone it. But, once again, I do think that'll change once I find someone I deeply love, end up marrying, And then, who knows what I do? Because even I don't know. Let's see. You managed to get strong, but I couldn't find a new dream. And I'm sorry. Sorry I passed to you. Sorry I couldn't shoot on my own. Hey, yo! But, yeah. And this is okay as well. I keep saying what's okay, what's not okay. But this is okay as well. It is strange. And it is hard to find something that drives you. Like, for example, when I was in, like, my high school days, I can bring up something like this. I can relate to this idea. When I was in my high school days, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to be when I was growing up. Initially, I wanted to be an astrophysicist. An astrologist, not in the common, like, rocks way, but, like, in, like, study the cosmos, do that. Like, I was heavily inspired by Neil deGrasse Tyson, essentially. And I just loved cosmology. I loved the universe. It was such an interesting thing. But ultimately, the logical part of me was like, gang, he's the exception of exceptions of exceptions. You will make a darn near no money. And ultimately, dreams and hopes and ideas and stuff like that, they don't put food on the table. So think of something that puts food on the table. And thusly, for a while, I didn't have a dream. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then, mi padre asked me, hey gang, you're 16 now. What you gonna do? College applications are going to start coming out soon. You gotta get ready for that. And I sat there and I was like, I actually know. So I had like a whole internal moment where I looked and I kind of didn't have a general idea. But at the same time, on top of that, the logical mind kicked back in and was like, okay, find something that you like, that puts food on the table, that it's reasonable, that will cost a reasonable amount in college, that'll take a reasonable amount of time. So that cut off some things immediately. Like, ultimately, I knew I was never going to become a doctor of any kind. Because I do have doctors in my family who have told me the horrors of medical school and have shown me the horrors of medical school debt. So I didn't end up doing that. And I didn't end up becoming an engineer because I didn't think I had the brain for it and never did. Didn't end up becoming an architect. Like, there's so many different careers I kind of locked off on both sides of the spectrum because, one, I wasn't passionate about them or didn't think I had the capability for them. And two, because they just didn't put food on the table. And I ended up finding a happy middle ground where I was like, okay, I'm good at this and I can do this. And this seems like a reasonable amount of college time. And I did it. And then that became my dream. So it is really a matter of balancing logic and ideas. But if I can't blame people for not finding that dream. I have friends of mine who, admittedly, they're out of college now. But for the longest time, they were in college for like 6, 7, some 8 years. Because they just didn't know what they wanted to do. They couldn't find a new dream. And I don't blame people for that. I only found a dream because I went down a logical route, which really isn't how you should define your dreams, at least in my opinion. You probably shouldn't want to face your dreams entirely on logic. And then I came up with multiple dreams. I had multiple drives, multiple motivations, such as content creation. So, like, I went down my own path with that. And I don't blame people for struggling to find it because there's no real guide to being human in general. And there's definitely no guide to being you. You have to define who you are. Sure, there are some things that will always fundamentally define you as long as you exist. You will always be the offspring of your parents. That's never going to change. You can change your name, you can change your appearance, you can change whatever, but as long as you live and breathe, your parents made you, that will never change. But ultimately, what that means, how you choose to represent that, how you choose to present that, I said represent it, present, but like, what you decide to do with your nature as a human is entirely up to you. And it's hard to do that sometimes. Do you follow the path of another? Do you walk down your own path? Do you do things that you like? Do you do things that you don't like? Do you chase the ideas that'll put food on the table? Or do you take the risk and then hope that you are able to do things that don't? I know there are many people out there, like, a big example that comes to mind, Sylvester Stallone. He sold his dog. In order, I forget what the full story is, but he like sold his dog for like $40 in order to get the first Rocky script in. That man chased his dream, quite literally, sacrificed and lost everything, and then succeeded. And while that's a beautiful story, and it's a story that's inspired me in certain aspects of life, there are probably a million Sylvester Stallones, if not more, who did the exact same thing and got no result. So personally, I've defined myself as a person who will take risks within reason, who will always do something to make sure that there is food on the table, that there's a roof over my head, that there's clothes on my back. And that's how I've always operated, but that's something that's been born out of how I was raised, how I've decided to interpret how I was raised, and my reading of society. That is a philosophy that, while similar to others, is entirely unique to me, and how I apply it is entirely unique to me, because despite there being 8 billion other humans, I'm not an exact copy of anybody. and struggling to find a new dream, struggling to define oneself, struggling to walk and write your own path as a human is something that I can understand and can relate to. So I get that. Let's see. Sorry I passed to you. And sorry I couldn't shoot on my own. I broke our promise. That's enough. Don't apologize, Nagi. You did nothing wrong. And you know what? He did. Like I'm gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. He fumbled. Nagi sold the bag. And Reo sold the bag. That's why I said earlier, it's not entirely Reo's fault, but it's also not entirely Reo's fault. It is a hefty part of Nagi. Nagi deciding to give up and be lazy, that's a character flaw that he must pay for, and he paid for it. Or he's paying for it right now. Good. That is a thing. So it is his fault. Like he did do something wrong. Twice over, multiple times. And that's okay, because humans make mistakes, right? Like, I'm just like, it came out real mean at first. Yes, Nagi did something wrong. It's his fault. Absolutely. He sucks. He's booty. He's buns. Blah, 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 blah. But, like, that's human. You know how many mistakes I've made? If you're wondering, if you, and notably, I know some people just watch the Blue Up reviews. Luckily enough, Blue Up was on break the week I was gone. But, like, I went on vacation for a week and a half. I kept telling myself for like a month, hey, pre-record some videos. I pre-record so you don't like just lose everything off the channel. Like you don't have like a dead week span. And I pre-recorded 6. That was 5. 6. That was nowhere near the time I was gone. So that's like there was like a day break between every single video. I just didn't do it in time. That was a mistake. I made the mistake multiple times before. I know upcoming there's a vacation I'm going on in like 2 months. Heck, a month. Or like I'm traveling. It's not really a vacation. I'm traveling for work. But like still, there's something I'm doing. I'm traveling. I'm telling myself right now to go record. Like I know there are times where I should record. I'm telling you, there's a 50-50 shot I do that. I made that mistake multiple times in the past, but I'm making it multiple times in the future. So don't take me saying Nagi did something wrong and it is his fault that it ended up the way he did and that Reo's kind of wrong here and saying he did nothing wrong as, oh, Pencil must be perfect. No. I've fumbled the bag many times before, and I'll fumble the bag many times again. It's okay to make mistakes. That's the one thing that's true. Don't be afraid of being imperfect, as you are naturally imperfect by the nature of your being. That will never change. There is no perfect being. Let's see. Or no perfect human being. Dogs are perfect. Let's see. You did nothing wrong. Nog's looking at him like, are we sure about that? Let's see. You didn't even like is this eyebrow raise? He's like, really? Are you sure? Let's see. You didn't even like soccer, but you still went along with my dream. I'm sorry. I forced you and made you try hard. You don't need to try. But see, that's why I don't I still don't like Reo as a character. I'll be completely honest. I've come to respect Reo more as a character, but I don't really like Reo as a character. Because he's a character of many extremes. And admittedly, I'm a person of many extremes myself. So maybe that's probably a hefty chunk of projection. I'm very all or nothing in life. Hey, Pencil, why do you go to the gym every day instead of taking rest days like a rational human being? Because I'm all or nothing. Hey, Pencil, why do you post every single day? Or at least attempt to? Well, because I'm all or nothing. Like you can see, it's very easy for me to fall off the wagon, gosh darn it, of content production. So that's why I'm all or nothing. So maybe this is me projecting. But on Reo's case, I don't like the idea that his solution to Nagi is, hey, just give up. You don't have to try anymore. Fine, you go live your regular life. Go work at Burger King. Like, that's not the thing you should say. I don't know. At least for me, I've always been the kind of guy who, if I've seen my friend going through something or struggling, or even failing at something that they worked hard for, I'm always like, keep moving forward. Keep working hard. Keep doing it. Just because this failed doesn't mean the next thing will fail. The idea that Reo just says, you don't need to try anymore. You don't need to do any of that. Like, you gotta keep trying. There is no success in life without effort. Unless very specific circumstances are met. But like, there's no you can't do nothing. You can't not, I mean, you can do the bare minimum and succeed. That's true. I'll give that. But like, in order to succeed in a way that, well, actually no, because there are people, and that's the thing. That's the beauty of humanity in the sense. There are people who do the bare minimum and are completely happy with that. That's fine. That's actually good, in fact. If you are satisfied by doing the bare minimum, that's actually a good thing. I'd say that's a much more relaxed and easy way of living life. And honestly, considering I personally believe that life is what you make out of it, if that brings you happiness, then that's good. But I don't know, man. I'm not telling my friend that, especially after I brought them to do something better like Reo did. Like, Reo giving Nagi purpose is not a bad thing. I don't think that's wrong. I think it's a good thing. But telling him to now give up on that purpose that you brought him to just because this failed, I don't think that works either. I think you should motivate, like, not maybe to keep playing soccer, even if it is rough, even if it is hard, even if this does end here, keep trying. Keep moving forward. Well, you don't need to apologize, Reo. I was happy. You're forceful and selfish and nervous. Yo! Now you really said, wait a minute, hold on, you're cooking me right now. Let me cook you on my television. Okay, dog, go crazy there. Let's see. You're forceful and selfish and nervous, but... Yo, I love it. Yo, wait, this is like an ego. I said, if there's gonna be like a panel every couple pages of ego just like glaring at the two, like, yo, you need to get off the pitch, gang. I already told y'all losers to lead. But like, flat face ego here. Flat face ego there. He's like, yo, just get off the pitch, bro. I'm broadcasting you for the views, but like, stop this. Let's see. You're forceful and selfish and nervous, but being with you showed me so many new sides of myself. I got fired up about soccer. I could feel frustrated and uncool. I said a lot of mean things to you, and I learned how amazing it feels to win. And I started to miss you when you weren't around. And see, that's good. That's good. Once again, I can't directly empathize with this, but I can understand it. It's really, well, that's the whole individuality. But this is the thing where I've heard stories from like people I know personally in real life, where like they have been inspired by someone else to a degree that it has drastically improved their life. That is a thing, where ultimately someone else existing in a certain purview in a certain context and being alongside that person, or just because of that person existing in general, right? They have elevated in a sense they would have never elevated before if they didn't know that person, if they never heard of them, if they never met them. Ultimately, some people have been that inspired by somebody else and been given life experiences they would never trade because of somebody else. And then, in a sense, no, I can't empathize with that. Because while I can't directly link with Nagi in the sense of, someone defining my life to that point and like changing me, I always think of my own parents, right? Where like, the life I live is only possible because of them. Obviously, because, they birthed me. But in the literal sense of life I live, they could have done the bare minimum, but they didn't. They made me into the person I am today because they went far and above the bare minimum. I think of my best homie. There are many different experiences that I have as recently as, like, this past weekend and years ago, where without him being there, things, like certain memories, certain moments simply would not exist or wouldn't hit as hard. So I do get that. The idea that, yeah, your life can be drastically improved and altered by simply someone else just being there. Humans are social creatures, and ultimately some of your best moments are probably defined by those other social creatures. Well, I sort of miss you. I'll drop the sword. Sort of miss you when you weren't around. Reo, life was just a pain for me, and you gave me light. You're trying to tell me this ain't BL, bro? And I ain't talking... I'm not talking about Blue. Are you telling me this ain't BL? Like, if I could better raise my eyebrows, I would. I'd be like, this ain't BL? Let's see. And you gave me light. Everything that's happened since I met you has been the treasure of my life. That's beautiful, man. See, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I like that. I like that a lot, man. And what I have to give Nagi credit for is his willingness to admit this on live TV. Like, I cannot imagine grabbing another man on live TV and being like, "You are my light. You brought me out of the darkness. You have been the treasure of my life." Well, and it's still on the live TV part. I've told my homies how much they've inspired me and changed my life in certain ways. But like on live TV, for the entire world, in front of his daddy, who's probably like, that's crazy. I'd ask what we are after that. Like on live TV, but that is beautiful, right? The idea that they had a connection so strong, so pure, so direct, despite it not even lasting that long, that it has defined who Nagi Sashiro is. that it has brought him light. It brought him out of the darkness. It brought him out of pain, essentially, right? That's what Nagi says. Life was just a pain. Living wasn't something that he looked forward to. But ultimately, this time together has defined him in an entirely positive way. That is beautiful. I like that. I like that a lot. The idea that these two, despite the ups and downs, despite the negatives and positives, despite all the chaos and conflict that was this dynamic, it ultimately wasn't that positive for Nagi. It's something that he'll cherish. Reo cleared his skies. I think that's beautiful. Let's see. We go into black tadpoles? Let's see. But maybe when I felt that way, I'd already lost. Since being with you became the most important thing, I stopped being a prodigy. It's true. I mean, it's true. It's true. It's true. And it's funny because you honestly, if you flip these two character dynamics here, if this was Reo like getting locked off forever, I would 100% believe it with like no problem. And I still believe it 100% for Nagi because he did relapse. But yeah, it's so weird, right? Because we humans, we are social creatures. We are defined, and we do need each other, right? Like that's not a debatable thing. That kind of just is the fact. But just as someone can bring you up, people can bring you down, and it can be the same. Like it's so great that it can be the same person who can help you reach heights you've never thought you could ever dream of reaching, and simultaneously drag you into the deepest depths imaginable. It's crazy. But that is simultaneously the beauty and terror of life. Especially with humans. But this is not even just human, like anything really. But especially with humans, nothing is simple. Nothing is clear-cut. There are patterns we recognize. There are things that are repeatable. There are aspects of life we understand to a degree. But what a bond means, what a connection is, and what impacts it will have on you, they can almost never be predetermined. They can almost never be well-defined until it happens. Until you go through it. Until you meet that person. Until you give it a chance. And honestly, well, I've always been a person who's like, hey, outside of looking in, that seems to be a whole bunch of red flags. Don't go for it. To some degree, I can't blame people for going after the same kind of toxic people, because that's like life. You never know what can come out of it. Of course, you can make predictions, but you never know. You never know. I know people who are married now. That when they first met, I would have been like, you probably shouldn't interact with that person. But they're happy. Seemingly. I don't know. I haven't spoken to them in a while. But I think they're fine. They have a kid. So like they're presumably good. And it's stuff like that, right? It's that imbalance. It's that idea that you can allow yourself to be defined by somebody, and that can do wonders for you, but it can also drag you down. And hey, I can say it's to a degree why I've always been worried about being defined by somebody. To some degree. I want to be, though. I want to be. But at the same time, I understand maybe even that subconscious or even sometimes conscious fear has held me back from things. I probably will continue to. Let's see. I stopped being a prodigy. I'm sure that if we'd gone our own ways, we would have ended up stronger. We even might have become the world's best. Yeah. But that's not the story. That's not the story we're telling. But yeah, once again, this does, and this honestly feeds into the idea that now you may be going, If fun fact, my barber is gone for 2 weeks. So if you're wondering why my hair looks jacked up, it's because I'm doing it. And I did not fade this well. I need to go. I'm gonna do this right after the recording. Like, look at that. It's just a line, and it doesn't fade in the slate. It's just a line. I think I did like. Even this is mostly just a line. But I did like a much better, or at least a half decent job of fading it over here on this side. This is just wrong. I gotta go back and shave. But what was I saying? But no, that's what honestly, something like this is what gives me ideas like maybe Nagi isn't coming back, because Blue Lock doesn't seem like it'd be the kind of story that would reward these two for getting back together, right? That was the thing I was bringing up all the way back when they initially relinked. That doesn't seem to be Blue Lock's narrative. You know, the whole ideas of egos and individuality and self-motivation, stuff like that. Interlinked motivation like this didn't ever seem to make sense as like a narrative thing. So maybe now he's gone forever. Or if he does come back, maybe he won't even acknowledge Rail. Or not acknowledge Rail, but like maybe their dynamic will legit not matter at all. Or like it shouldn't matter at all. In order for things like this to work. Like for this theme of the narrative to work. the overarching theme. But at the same time, that's the thing. Blue Lock doesn't entirely devalue connection. It values healthy connection, though, and healthy rivalry. So maybe that'll be the end goal of these two, reaching a point of healthiness. But this is the end of us being the world's best together. Oh. Well. Goodbye, Reo. But see, that's the thing. It's the way he's being drawn here, too. Like, it's very sentimental. But look at those eyes. They're so empty. Like, there doesn't seem to be any fire left. He's ready. He's ready to flip burgers. He's ready to just put the fries in the bag, bro. Like, he just looks so done. And that's okay. But he's got his own manga, though. He's got his own manga. We are talking the guy who has his own manga, right? Right? Maybe we are. Maybe it's time to let Nagi go. Release him into the wild. Never to be seen again, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Goodbye, Reo. Yo, I'm not gonna allow myself to get head pat on live TV in front of millions of people, bro. That's crazy. Become the world's best on your own. Yeah, he's dead inside, bro. like you can see, he's done. And I also wouldn't break down the tears over another full-grown man on live TV. Like that. Once again, breaking down the full-grown tears over a grown man, entirely possible. On live TV, though, nah. I'd be hitting the whole time. But let's see. On your own. Igaguri, whack. Baro, clean. Zantetsu, clean. Shigiri, clean. Kunigami, clean. Bachura, oh, but you know what? I like how none of them are like laughing or jeering at Nagi. They're just all like, they respect it. They respect that he's bowing out, and bowing out with like determination. And they it's funny to some degree because Igaguri has that connection with Reo over them both serving under Shido. Baro has that connection with Nagi in particular based on their rivalry. Zantetsu obviously was directly bonded with these two all the way back on Team Z, or Team V, I do believe it was. Shigiri has the dynamic with Nagi as we saw in episode Nagi. Kunigami has the dynamic with both Reo and Nagi based on their interactions. And Bachura has this dynamic with Nagi based on Second Selection and Team V, stuff like that. Like, this dynamic, in fact, has like connections to all of these characters shown here. And I think it's pointed that they're shown too, right? Like, you'd think there'd be some pattern, but Igaguri's out, but the rest of these guys are in. But I think it's that. And I think it's the tears from Igaguri calming down and the eyes in particular, and the silence and the lack of smiling or anything, the kind of disappointment, but acceptance of it, because they can't do anything about it. And ultimately, they understand in their own ways they have to keep moving forward. Let's see. Oh, but we got Isagi. Nagi! Nagi. Ego's, yo, he's still here. He's still just... Ego's mewing right now. Ego's in the... No, but he's happy. He's like, man, get that fraudulent bum out of here. I was like, Nagi. Nagi. But see, that's what Reo should have said. And that's why, you know, y'all Nagi Reo fans out there, platonic or otherwise, y'all gotta get on that Isagi Nagi trend. If we're just being lazy and fusing names together, the Isagi Nagi trend, dog. Let's see. Don't stop playing soccer. Don't stop moving forward. Okay, so he'll be back. I assume he's gonna be back. If Isagi's declaring this the main character, you got to summon one of his rivals back. I get it. Don't stop playing soccer. Oh, all right. Oh, wait a minute. A little bit of fire. A little bit. Okay, he's got a little bit of light in his eye. Maybe. He's probably coming back. Nah, once again, he's got his own manga gang. It's a perfect setup. Nagi will be back. But it looks like we are done with him for a while now, at least. Let's see. Blue Lock Phase 2, Neo Egotist League complete. Nagi walking off, Igaguri walking off, Teppei walking off. You ain't never touched the field, bro. Stop crying, I don't care. Tokimitsu, Fraudy Mitsu, get him going. Dorai and Hayate getting locked off. Next phase. I told y'all! Everybody who ever doubted me, next phase U20 World Cup. I knew it. That's what they set the arc up on. I don't know where the idea that the club arc was next was coming from people. Where was that coming from? Like, what? Did y'all read the same manga as me, bro? Finally. But there we go. Next phase, Losers Gate exit. U20 World Cup. Losers. Up, and that's the end of the chapter. All right. But, all right. So, what? was it? It was 150 chapters for the end of the U20 game. Then the new Eagles League was 150 chapters. So I'm guessing the U20 World Cup is going to be 150 chapters. Chapter 450 is probably where we're going to end. At least if the length stays the same. Would the U20 World Cup only be 4 games though? Huh. I wonder. But hey. What can I say? Ugh! Other than, man, that was mad weak. What the heck? But W chapter. I like a nice send off for Nagi, dedicating a full chapter to the man. I think it's good. Ultimately, if I had to choose, I think Nagi will be back. It just won't be for a while. He's not going to show up during the U20 World Cup on another team. I think that's like literally illegal. He's not going to do anything. I don't think we're even going to see him for a while. And notably, even though I do believe at bare minimum, the U20 World Cup arc will last as long as the Neo Eagles League did, at a minimum, considering we have much more setup to do in terms of like all the other teams and their capability and stuff like that. At a bare minimum, it's going to be the same length. I think, unironically, that would be just fine in time for Nagi's return. By the time episode Nagi, the monthly manga, catches up to where this is. By the time we reach this point in the episode Nagi manga, it probably will be about 4 or like 3 or 4 years. I could see it. The way the episode Nagi manga is paced, like 100% it's going to take that long. So I think if we're building to a Nagi return eventually, at the end, after 150 chapters of his own development off screen at that one club, I think we're in for a good spot. And now it's time for the future. But if you made it all the way to the end of this thickie of a video, please do me a favor and leave Cup of the World. Nice and fancy. Leave Cup of the World in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you're into, leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, you even have a Patreon down below. You can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reactions, here this year's time to review, ad variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 Patreon or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, you have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below. You can drop 5 for a short video, 20 so long video, or any means at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Rebel 4765, Astro, Super Flame Zero, Glacier XZ, Zera, Brandon Payne, J2MA, Gyomi, Yuki Ally, Buddha Uda, Azo 2404, Planet Crone, G Prosper, Nevis 97, and Ollie. I'd like to give a big old thank you to our line art tier patrons: Sean, Nirvana Igneal, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin Encarnacion, and A+A. And I'd like to give a big old thank you to our Inc. tier members: Fine, Austin Wimberly, Euchia, Carlo Alaimo, and Grim. And then I'd like to give a big old hefty thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And then I'd like to give a big old thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Waki Munoz and Waki Munoz. And then I'd finally like to give a giga super duper kidney sacrificing thank you to our ultimate, that guy with a heart on the horizon, Calvin Elder.